Okay, hello and welcome. I'm so excited that you are here with us today. Because this is a recap, apologize for last night not working out so well. We had some tech issues going on, but I am so glad that you are here today. So we're going to talk about our parenting essentials class, our busy kids equal happy moms. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Dr. Allison DiBarto Goggin. I'm a functional medicine physician. I'm an author. I'm a doTERRA wellness advocate. I'm a mom to two, and I am passionate about helping parents and moms take care of themselves so they can take care of their kids, and two, helping whole families rediscover their health and break those chains that have been holding us back. So this is a picture of me and my baby Jake. We call him baby Jake because my husband's name is also Jake. So it helps us differentiate who's doing what. So when baby Jake was about 18 months old, he had a double ear infection and we got it treated. But at the same time, I think he also had strep because maybe a few weeks after he had that ear infection, he started to totally regress around 18 months old. He went from this fun loving, singing, happy, bubbly little boy to a kid who wouldn't talk, a kid who stopped singing, who stopped playing, who just sat and screamed. And it's like I lost my baby over this. And later on, he was diagnosed with PANDAS, the PANDAS, which is a pediatric autoimmune strep infection. It goes into the brain and causes all kinds of chaos, inflammation, regression in kids. Um, and we did a ton of occupational therapy, speech therapy, supplements, oils, chiropractic, body work, everything we could do. And I'm happy to say that he's come full circle. Now he's at the end of fourth grade. You can read his handwriting. He can read really well. He's active, he's happy, and his health is fantastic. So I do believe that these chronic illnesses that our children can come into contact with or develop are sometimes preventable, not all the time, right? And then they're definitely reversible to some degree, that there's always an option, there's always a solution, there's always help. And I believe that children deserve to thrive in body, spirit, and mind as well. And it takes a team, it takes a family, and it takes us being in control of ourselves as well. So, spoiler alert, because we're not doing a giveaway because this isn't live, what I am going to do is for everyone who grabs the kit, I'm going to gift you the Calmer and the Tamer blends from our kids line, as well as an extra bonus. Because at the end, I have all my bonuses for you, free stuff and programs, all kinds of things that you can use to help your whole family get started right away. And also, you can schedule a free consultation since I won't be answering too many questions here live today. So that's kind of our housekeeping. So where I wanted to start with this class is our window of tolerance. We have this window where we have this rainbow where it's optimal functioning, where growth happens, where things are great. And then we start to get into this danger zone. You see, it says, be careful, into these signs of distress, where you might have increase in anxiety, difficulty focusing, tears, talking really quickly, all the way into extreme distress, which is hyperventilating, extreme emotion. Some people even experience panic attacks. This is really the heavy fight or flight that we see. On the other side, we have delayed responses, shutting down, emotional withdrawal, all the way into dissociation, slowed breathing. And this is our freeze aspect of our nervous system. And so when we get overwhelmed, when we get overstimulated, no matter how old we are, it's going to push us one way or the other, right? And we want to improve our capability of handling stress, improve that window of functioning. It's a lot of like, you wake up in the morning and your alarm went off, but you didn't hear it. So you slept in, your kids slept in, and you're late. You're like, all right, it's not a big deal. And then the dog threw up in the bathroom. Now you have to clean it up. And the kids forgot this. And then the drive to school or work is unbearable. And like, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And then all of a sudden you get home and your husband or your spouse says, hey, how was your day? And you're like, I hate you. I hate everyone. This is that tripping into that distress section. So when we can really find that space to calm ourselves, we're going to feel a lot better. And when we teach our kids how this works for us, we're going to feel a lot better too. Now, We're in stressful times right now, and it's normal and it's okay to have a smaller window of tolerance. Maybe just the alarm going off is enough to trigger you right now into a blow up or a shutdown, or just you can't do any more today. That's normal. Is how our bodies are trained to respond. And it's okay. You're not alone if you're experiencing these things. So, how do we open this window? A lot of it is self care. And I know a lot of people say that, and we don't even really know what it means. But to me, self care includes emotional release, which means talking to your therapist or your friends, crying, laughing, experiencing all your emotions, not holding anything back, physical exercise, whether it's walking, yoga, lifting weights. It doesn't mean that you have to be in the gym for hours, but at least you're moving your body to support your nervous system. When we move our body, it does open up that window of tolerance. Our nervous system is able to handle more. It's not going to be stuck in that fight or flight or freeze mode. Of course, nutrition is incredibly important. Eating the right foods for us, getting enough sleep when we can, and recognizing what state we're in is also really important, because then we can see what's been triggering us, how we're feeling overwhelmed. And for women and moms who are getting their periods, still cycling, noticing where you are in your cycle, and not blaming yourself or falling into this trap where every month we're just falling apart. But we know that, like, all right, we're at the end of our cycle, and wow, I'm really overstimulated, overwhelmed. And that's something you could tell your kids how you're feeling too. And when you use this language, which I use with my kids too, I'm like, hey, buddy, I'm having a really rough day. I'm feeling really overwhelmed and overstimulated. It's too much noise. I need some quiet time. They're able to learn to use that language as well. And that way you understand how they're feeling as well. Now, I love talking about brain pathways, because when I was growing up, we were taught your brain is your brain and there's no way it changes. The pathways are the pathways. And we now just know that isn't true. Our brain can create new pathways, it can create new neurons, it can create all kinds of new things. They call it plastic or plasticity, meaning it can change. Which I think is funny, because I never think of plastic as being flexible. So I think we need a different word. But, and the good news is that we can create new pathways. We can release old pathways. So we can focus on creating healthier reactions, increasing that window of tolerance, reducing our overwhelm and our stress in some ways with this as well. So we're going to be talking a lot about aromatherapy tonight. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the science of it, because when I teach my stress, overwhelm, emotions, postpartum classes, I always talk about how I had pretty significant postpartum anxiety, depression, adjustment disorder with after my son was born. And it was a point where I couldn't even go to the grocery store. And we didn't have any money. We didn't have insurance. We had nothing. There was no way I could even get help during that time. And someone said, oh, you need to get this balanced blend of oil. It'll help. And I thought, you people are crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. Oils don't even have anything in them. It's just for fun and like smell nice. But I bought one anyway. And it literally changed my life. And the reason why it did is because when I was having that panic attack about going to the grocery store, I took a deep breath of that oil right out of the bottle. I put it on my wrist as well. And when we take that deep breath from true essential oils, not from really store-bought oils or things off of Amazon that don't have any real compounds in them, any natural compounds, when we take those into our nose, it goes up to our olfactory nerves and into our brain, specifically that limbic system, that part of our brain that controls memory, emotions, all of these things. And here's all these different parts of our brain, like the amygdala, hippocampus, where we focus on memory, learning, emotions, our hypothalamus, which is our master conductor of our entire body, all of our hormones, our stress hormones, and helps with intellectual processes, helps give feedback to the body. All of these things are calming and supportive for the brain and the body. And this is why it's so effective. So as we talk about how do we create new pathways in the brain, how do we support the brain? Because we want to support that window of tolerance. We want to create new pathways that are full of calmness and support and love. Sensory play is the number one go-to for kids and adults as well, because it helps build those nerve connections in the pathway, we retain the most amount of information when we engage our senses. A lot of times, I'll tell my kids to go, if they have a really big test, to go study in the bathtub or hop on an exercise bike and read their book because they're going to retain more information with sensory. So the water is sensory, movement is sensory, things like that. This also includes taste, touch, smell, sight, hearing, balance, all of these things. So this provides opportunities for our children to actively use their senses as they explore the world. And it's so crucial for brain development. And it also helps us learn more um, complex learning tasks and things that we need to be able to keep moving forward in our lives, keep our brains working. Okay. So my favorite um, sensory thing that I've been doing for a long time with my kids actually is making our own Play-Doh. And I love to do this because one, it's so easy to do. Number two, the kids can be involved. And then that stirring of the pots and the mixing and the scents, all of that is also sensory play. It's also heavy work. It's also formative for their brain. And then we have this great little blob of Play-Doh that's going to last us a long time. Make sure to store it in an airtight container here. And then add your essential oils at the end, not when you cook it. So all of the compounds will still be fresh. You won't flash them off with heat. And then you can pick the oil that you love the most. So on my list here, I have On Guard, which is great for the immune system. Balance, which I talked about, which is also so good for calming and focus. And rosemary is so good for learning and creating those new brain pathways. So you can use these for all ages. And the great thing about it is it's so cheap and inexpensive. And that way, when they mesh all the colors together, you won't feel bad about like throwing out the brown or gray Play-Doh again. You can make it anytime. And it's so easy to do. The other things that I love to do is just creating things for my kids to do, especially when they were this age. So here's baby Jake. He was such a busy little guy, and being a stay-at-home mom who also had side businesses and jobs and things like that, it was really important that while I had my son with me, that he was still active and engaged. So I made DIY paint, which is also great because it had that essential oils in it. So he's getting that supportive compounds for his brain and his education and his immune system while also exploring and playing. And the other important thing about these things is that they're safe. They're baby safe because you see this bottom picture, they eat everything, don't they? They just everything they're going to put in their mouths. So we want to use ingredients that are safe for them to have on their skin, in their bodies. Flour, food dye that's dye free, use natural dyes, things like that. Another great thing to do with DIY paint is actually to take sidewalk chalk and grate it up and add water and flour to make like a little paste, because you'll have the colors built in. Now, baby Jake is not eating shaving cream. I think he's eating like whipped cream or flour or something with dye, but it kept him really busy. So the oils I have here are wild orange because it's so good for the immune system. I also have lavender because, again, that's all things calming. Everybody thinks of lavender when we think of sleep and taking care of our mental health and just smelling good, right? And then peppermint is great because it helps us stay focused, helps us stay awake, and also is great for lung and sinus health, allergies, things like that. So when your kids are outside and they're playing, they're still getting the support that they need throughout the day. All right, so let's talk about the aromatic anchoring technique. So this is a simple way to allow you to change unwanted feeling or reaction in a matter of moments. The essential oil becomes the cue to the brain to go down a new pathway. So now this is something we practice when we're feeling good, when we're having a good moment, and just grabbing a bottle of oil, just like you see in this picture, like she's doing, and just smelling it and really retraining the brain. When we smell this compound, when we smell this oil, smell this plant, we're feeling calm, we're relaxing, we can be focused. And then this is going to build that pathway deeper and more effectively as well. And the reason we want to do this is because of what we either call the pause. There's lots of names for this as well. But I like to call it the pause or the mommy timeout, which is what I told my kids when they were really little. Like, okay, I'm having a really bad day. I need a moment, I need to go mommy timeout. I put my headphones on, put them in their crib and be like, all right, I just need to listen to 1 or 2 songs to get my mind right. Now, this is not a timeout. This is not an opportunity to send your kids away. It's about emotionally regulating, whether we take a break from play or talking or fight, we can think of a million reasons why we need to take a pause, right? And what it does is it moves us out of that fight or flight or freeze mode that we're in that end of that rainbow and helps us bring us back to calming or soothing. And one of the important things about the pause is Dr. Gabor Mate has this book called Scattered Minds. It's wonderful. I love all of his work. And this book is specifically focused on children and adults with ADD and brain processing issues. And one of the really specific things he talks about is that our goal is that we teach our kids self-regulation. And one, we have to learn it for ourselves to step out of anxiety, to step out of the anger and really connect on an emotional level with ourselves and then the people around us. And this isn't how we respond to our kids, which is so important. When we are strong, kind of like a thermostat, like inside is always going to be 72 degrees, whether it's raining or snowing or it's the hottest day ever. Inside the house is always going to be set to the same temperature. And it creates safety in our children's brains and in their bodies. Our children do not respond to logic, right? As much as we wish they did. They're not left brain, they're not logical. And even you might know, and I know too, but we've had a bad day or we get bad news and we come home and we try to smile and we're like, everything's fine. But inside we're just crying and it's just such a hard time. They know that, they pick up on that, right? Our children are very right brain, that creative, that emotional processing. So Dr. Mate says children swim in parents' subconscious like fish in the sea. So when we can open up our window of tolerance, when we can name and identify our triggers and manage them, when we can relate to our children on an emotional calm level, they do pick up on that eventually, right? And I think in the book, he talks about the example of you're at the dinner table and your kid's freaking out because they don't want to eat what's there and you're upset and they're throwing a tantrum. And he uses the example, like you look at your husband like, help, I need help. And then your husband starts screaming and demanding, like, I'm going to drag you to this table or I'm going to drag you upstairs, or, like in anger, we respond and we're freaking out. And instead, an option would be to not let everybody else's, especially our children's emotions, dictate our emotions, to say, all right, you're having your experience, but here I am and I'm calm and I'm centered. You don't want to eat? No problem. That's not my problem. That's your problem because I'm going to eat. I'm not going to be hungry. And you can enjoy your dinner and you don't have to give in to the anxiety, right? Because we feel angry. We want our children to eat. We want them to be healthy and happy. We want them to not waste food. We want them to feel good. And when they're not, we worry about them. And we don't want to give into the anger because that just causes more chaos, right? Like, why won't you eat? Oh my God, I work so hard on all the things that we feel. So centering and pausing within yourself is so important. And when we use essential oils to help guide us in this moment, um, it just creates this powerful pathways, things that we can be more and more reliant on. And not, we're always going to make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. We're always going to have a moment where we freak out and it's okay. Don't blame yourself. Come back. I think the most important thing is when we do get into that distrust mode, to as soon as possible remediate with our children, to say, okay, I'm sorry, I had a bad moment. Here's what I was feeling. I still love you, all of that, and come back together. I mean, that in itself, when the child feels safe, like in their parents, they're going to feel safe within themselves, and that behavior does tend to change. The next thing about changing behavior that I found is really, really helpful. And we did a lot of this in occupational therapy, and we still do it, is called heavy work. So heavy work is something that pushes or pulls on the body, where it's literally doing something that is heavy on the joints. And when the joints send that message or proprioception to the brain knows where it is in space. It knows how to respond, how to act, how to navigate the environment, right? So this first picture, the kid carrying the laundry, is probably the best one because they're usually not happy about it. But I love to have my son, now he can kind of carry it, but he'll just push the laundry basket around the house when it's full of clothes, like, hey, buddy, can you help me out? Taking out the garbage, moving chairs, things like that, things that are heavy that are pushing and pulling. Other things that include pushing a vacuum cleaner, mopping or sweeping, carrying the laundry, carrying groceries, cooking, such as stirring or kneading bread dough, which is why that Play-Doh is such a great way to incorporate not only sensory, but heavy work and sensory work as well. Riding a bike, swinging on monkey bars, climbing on the playground, swimming, wheelbarrow walking, where you hold their feet and they walk on their hands, playing Twister, using Play-Doh, blowing bubbles, stacking chairs, all those things that we normally do in childhood, but make it more intentional. Do it more throughout the day, especially if your kids are having trouble processing emotions. This will help them do that as well. The next thing that I like to recommend is doing core work and cross crawl exercises. Your kids should crawl first. That helps organize the brain, because remember, the right side of our brain controls the left side of our body and vice versa. And if we start walking first, the brain is like, oh, we don't know who we are, where we are, what we're supposed to do. And it kind of just creates chaos. And if there's physical chaos, there's emotional chaos. So what I would just suggest right off the bat is just have your kids crawl around the house. It might be silly, depending on how old they are, crawl with them. This is great for adults too. I always love that monkey wisdom in the middle, because you're crossing the body. So that's essentially what cross crawl is. And the dead bug exercises, where most people know them as you lay on your back and you press your right hand into your left knee. So you're crossing the body, and then you're bringing your opposite arm and leg away from the body, and then switching sides. You can do that on your hands and knees, like you see this little one right here. She's lifting her opposite arm and leg, and do this once a day. Maybe this is part of the homework. And these are great things to do before homework, because it's going to help organize the brain. They're going to be more focused. They're going to be more apt to be learning and processing these emotions and what they're learning, because they already have that sensory work in. Turn on your diffuser while you're doing homework or reading or whatever it is, and it's going to become an easier process for you, I promise. All right. So when kids have these types of issues, like my son, they fall down a lot, right? You see baby Jake there, he's got a big knot on his head. He always had something on his face. He was always falling down. Part of that is because his brain was disorganized. He didn't know where he was in space. So doing these exercises helped that. But I wanted to give you my ouchie blend as well, because this is something that saved our lives multiple times. You can put it in a roller. You could put it in a spray bottle. I also like to add in helichrysum, which is great because it stops bleeding. That has saved us multiple times. And then just put it on and add on a Band-Aid and you're good to go. All right, the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about, I think this is our last thing, is sleep. Sleep is so important, and kids just don't sleep enough, and which means we don't sleep enough, which means our window of tolerance becomes very, 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 very small. So the Aromatouch massage is a technique that I absolutely love. This is something we do about once a week for the whole family ever since the kids were little. Now, when kids are little, they don't need very much oil. What they need is, when they're 2 and under, it's about 1 tablespoon of carrier oil, meaning fractionated coconut oil, olive oil, almond oil, something that's a base, to 1 drop of essential oil. When they're over 2, you can use a little less carrier oil, about 1 teaspoon to 1 drop of essential oil. So with that Aromatouch technique, you just put 1 drop of essential oil on their back of each of those with some fractionated coconut oil, rub it in. Now there's this beautiful technique that Dr. Hill created. And when you have little ones, you don't have time. If you could just get it on and they're good, then we're on our way. So this helps so much because it helps regulate the nervous system. The balance and lavender are very calming. The tea tree and on guard are supportive for the immune system. The Aromatouch and deep blue are great for inflammation. and also pain, which really helps with growing pains, teething pains, all that good stuff. And then the wild orange and peppermint are also great for the nervous system, for specifically calming down the sympathetics, that fight or flight, and improving the parasympathetics, which is that rest and digest. The other thing that I like to do is give my kids sprays. Sometimes either we use diffusers all over the house. And when we first started, we didn't have enough to fit in every room. So making a spray is a really helpful way. And then they're in control of it. They can spray their pillow, they can spray a favorite stuffed animal. And the monster spray is great too, because if they're scared at night, they can spray under their bed or in their closet, keep it close to them to help give that feeling of safety and calmness. They'll sleep longer. And then of course, use your diffusers. It's the best way to do it. When we talk about sleep, I always recommend trying quite a few things because it is very individual with sleep depending on what's going on. And don't give up. Keep trying, keep asking people what they need. All right, now we're on the last thing, gut health and nutrition. When we have brain issues, we typically have gut issues. They're very, very interconnected. Some of that is because the gut has its own nervous system, the enteric nervous system. And baby Jake had a ton of eczema, probably because of all the antibiotics he had to be on for his ear infections. And when we use probiotics that you see there in the middle, the PB assist, adding in collagen and enzymes and multivitamins, all of these things help clear up that leaky gut, help soothe that inflammation, and then those eczema patches go away. So it's a wonderful opportunity. I love to use the Digest-Zen blend topically, so on the belly directly. It's great because it works on constipation, it works on diarrhea, it works on upset bellies. It does everything. It's great for adults too. I always have a bottle in my purse. And then vomiting is my last one that I have here with the adaptive line. So that's different, right? Our adaptive line is our calming blend. So we have the oil, we have the roller, and then we actually have a nutritional capsules there. Now, my son, God bless him, I never thought I would have the kid that he could make himself vomit on command to get out of going to school. So stress, worry, all of those things all interplay with our digestive system. So using the adaptive oil in the morning with him, with his probiotics, getting him into a calm state before he goes to school has really, really helped cut down on him feeling stressed, first of all, his body having reaction, and me having a reaction. So I take the adaptive capsules. They're great for my focus and my mood. He's not old enough yet. But again, remember, the more calm we are, the better off they're going to be. Okay, so I have a million more things to say about kids' health and all the things that we can do, but I don't want to be here forever with you. I don't want to keep you here forever. So what we have for you today is continuing this journey to help your whole family feel their best, get you what you need, and take care of your health from head to toe, right? So this month, we have our Healthy Start Kit, which has 10 oils with almost all of the oils that we talked about, like Digest-Zen, On Guard, lavender, tea tree, deep blue, peppermint, frankincense, all of these wonderful things to get you started, plus a diffuser. You get a free membership, you get free shipping, and a ton of other stuff that I'm going to tell you about right now. You also get from me a free Mommy and Me bundle that includes everything you need to make your own aromatherapy Play-Doh, the monster spray, you get the Ouchie blend, and then a sanitizing hand gel. So you don't have to go out and grab anything. It's going to be shipped all right to you. Your bonus number 2 includes a free private wellness consultation with me. So you can bring your top concerns to me. We'll talk about everybody in your family. We'll make a plan together on oils, a little bit about food, maybe some exercises to do, brain health things. And that way you have a plan, you know what to do with the tools that you have, how to use them, and you're going to feel so confident moving forward. Bonus number 3 is free access to my brain balance class. It's one of my favorites that I did a whole entire course on it. So you can go through it and learn on your own. And it goes way in depth with all the things that we started to just touch on here. So all in all, with all of this together, the total value is $605, but you only are charged $160. So quite a deal for you this month. The website is right there for you to order from. Now, I know that when most people say or hear, doTERRA, they're worried about like, do I have to order every month? The answer is no, you do not have to order every month. You can do a one-time order, just get what you need, get your free shipping and be done. We do have the opportunity to do an auto ship or a monthly rewards ordering where you get points back, you get all kinds of free oils of the month, things like that, extra discounts, but it's not required. You don't have to sell anything or enroll people to keep your membership. This is just like Costco or Sam's, where even right now, the membership is free. And then you can go in and get what you need at your discount and try lots of different products. We have a kids line, like I showed you at the beginning, with different kids blends specifically that come in rollers, so they're easy to use. We have multivitamins and probiotics and brain health oils, everything that you could ever possibly need, as well as non-toxic products for like cleaning and hair care and body care, toothpaste, all of that good stuff. And then when you get your kits, you're going to get an email right away from doTERRA with all your information, shipping and tracking and things like that. Then you'll get an email from me with a you'll get an email from me with a link to sign up for your free consultation, the link to the brain health balance class. You'll get the Mommy and Me kit automatically from me, shipped right out to you, and very easy to do. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can do a few things. You can shoot me an email at Dr. Allison at littleblackbagmedicine.com. You can visit my website at littleblackbagmedicine.com and go to contact me. You could go to Facebook and go to Little Black Bag Medicine. I'm also on Instagram. So you can find me in lots and lots of ways if you have any questions and need any help getting organized, getting everything done. And I will see you next time. I do have a teen class coming up that I'm really excited about that we'll be doing in June. So make sure to register for that, get all of that information, and we'll see you next time.